Welcome to Droptalks, the podcast where we drop knowledge and insights from the world of influencer marketing. In each episode, we'll interview influencers and marketers to learn about their experiences, strategies, and insights that can help you elevate your game. I'm your host, Kelsey, and I'm thrilled to be your guide on this journey. In today's episode, we have a special guest who made a name for themselves in the world of influencer marketing. Our guest today is Zak Stahlsmith, who is the creator of the influencer agency ApexDrop. They currently have more followers than Taylor Swift. Zak, how are you?
I'm wonderful. It's nice to see you, Kelsey.
It's good to see you too. It's great to see you. So, talking all the world of influencer marketing, diving right in, how do you not pay influencer marketers and still get results?
Yeah, isn't that the $1 million question? Everybody wants to know.
Dive right in.
If you go to my website, the big bold letters says stop paying influencers to like you. And so everybody wants to know, like, do we pay influencers? And, you know, at our agency, we do a bunch of different things with our influencers to make it so that it's compelling and exciting to actually not get paid, but eventually to get paid. So like, I want to just say that paying influencers is actually not a bad thing, but we don't pay them to start a relationship off on the right foot. So what we do is we leverage relationships with influencers through free products and services. We also, get them discounts and cool perks. But something that brands don't realize is the value of the networked relationship and the opportunities that can come from getting hired even by a brand or getting noticed. And influencers are very excited to impress brands and to get more awareness from a person that might be able to change their life. So, we work with micro-influencers, not the big celebrities. So it's a little different strategy. But we ultimately help brands maximize and optimize the content and the relationships. And that's how we help get results from the unpaid.
Mm-hmm. And when you're talking about those results, how do you measure an ROI?
So it's a little different than any other method of marketing. I've been doing marketing for 21 years or longer. I've been doing marketing since I was 18 and I'm 41. So that would be, I can't do math. It's 24 years. So yeah, how do we measure ROI? Well, we start with some of the simple things like impressions and engagements, those typical metrics. Everybody wants to know those. But traditional advertising is all about like traditional ROI. That's how much I invest versus how much did I get back? So the cost to relative exchange. So to calculate ROI, typically a brand will go through and they add up all the costs for the influencer marketing campaign. That's how much you paid the influencer, how much it costs to even set up the relationship, the time you invested, and also if they do any boosting or if they invest in paid ads, essentially. So you take all that and then you find out how many sales you got. So after the campaign's done, you see how much you make. And then you go, okay, the ROI is I take how much I spent and I take how much I got and I take the difference there. Now I know what I made. And usually that comes in the form of like a percentage or a 2X or a 3X. People love the 2X. So I actually don't think that that's the greatest way to measure ROI with influencers, but that is a way. When a consumer is exposed to a brand, they usually come through at the top of the funnel with micro-influencers rather than the bottom of the funnel. So in traditional marketing, you would not usually ask, how many sales did I get from the top of funnel investment? So we take a zoomed out approach at my agency. We like to look at the overall increase in sales across all channels. That's a little different than what the average marketer would do who wants to see tit for tat. How much did I spend? How much did I make? And they want to see it right away. We put a lot of things in the top of the funnel, and then we're going to measure those results over time at different points in time. And so the truth is that my company actually helps brands save hundreds of thousands of dollars in expenses with influencers. And it's hard to monetize that and say, oh, so what's the ultimate value in that? So we've developed some really cool ways to measure conversion rate improvements. So one of the big aha moments for me was when I realized I don't have to just think about how many sales I made today. I can think about how many sales I should make in 6 months if I keep going on this path and this trend. And so what we did was we start looking at Google Analytics. We started looking at different types of analytics, especially around year over year changes. So if you're doing influencer marketing and you're only looking at what you're making out of the campaign, I would advise you to look more at the long game. see what you're making over the course of time by comparing yourself to what you did a year prior or what you did just 3 months ago, quarter over quarter, year over year. That's the secret. And to get your boss to see that as well, because if you and your boss are on the same page, it makes things so much easier as a marketer. If you have to convince your boss that it's okay that you didn't make any money, you're already starting off on the wrong foot. And it's much better to start off with we expect to make money over time. Here's what the improvements could look like if we do it appropriately. And then to have patience from your team so they're not freaking out going, this is a waste of money.
Yeah. So it sounds like, your agency is really able to help support, that turn and having those conversations. So, and like you talked about, ROI is one of the KPIs that you use in addition to cost per engagement, right? So talk to me about some of the KPIs that you use in those conversations.
Yeah. You mentioned CPE, which is cost per engagement. What that means is how much does it cost to get a like or a comment? CPEs are like the absolute easiest way to measure different influencer marketing efforts side by side and do a fair comparison, apples to apples. Now, there are dozens of other KPIs you can use. That one is one of my favorites. My agency claims and guarantees we have the best CPEs in the entire industry. We can do that because we've measured all of our competition to see what they can do and what we can do. And every single time ours is way cheaper with better output. So with gifting campaigns specifically with micro-influencers, CPE is one of our favorites. Conversion rates year over year, like I mentioned earlier, are also really popular. A really great way to understand value that you're producing. But instead of thinking of KPIs and thinking of ROIs, I always use this analogy about the pizza shop. The pizza shop is when you're new in town. Let's say grandma has this incredible pizza recipe and you're like, I want to open my own pizza shop. And so you are trying to get the word out. You're trying to get people to understand you have those little pepperonis that hold the little juice inside of them. They're just so good. It's the best. And you want everybody to know about this pepperoni and talk about it. Your best bet to get the product out there and get awareness out there is to give out free pizza. Everybody who's starting a new restaurant knows that you got to get people to try the food in order for the word to spread. So free pizza is a really affordable, easy thing that a pizza shop can do. And so you'll see free pizza coupons usually for new pizza shops. So when you work with like a coupon company, and you send out these coupons, the day that everybody gets the coupons is going to be a very busy day for you. You're going to be sweating trying to make all these pizzas for all these customers because they're all getting free pizza. At the end of the day, you're probably going to be exhausted and look around and go, what just happened? And you're going to feel like you just lost a lot of money because you just made pizza all day and you saw no sales because they all used free pizza coupons. So the question you never want to ask after a sampling campaign is, how much money did I just make? So this is the biggest confusion with sampling with influencers. Your boss probably doesn't understand that it's very much like the free coupon at the pizza shop, that to make an assessment immediately afterwards is crazy. Even the day after is crazy. The post essentially is the beginning, not the end. And we tend to put that at the end and say, what did the post do for me? So it did nothing. In a lot of cases with micro-influencers, it doesn't feel like it did anything. If anything, it cost me all sorts of money. And we call that a loss leader marketing approach. So sending influencer samples, you should expect to lose money before you make money. So think twice about how you're putting that into your marketing reports. Do not put your influencer game where you're sending product samples side by side with Google and with other paid ads, because it's not the same and it's not going to have the same results or even comparable results that you can put on paper. So where the sales is the worst question you can ask immediately, but eventually you should start asking, is this working? So let's say you're the pizza shop owner and a month goes by and it's crickets, a whole month. You gave out all the pizza in the world and no one's showing up. Should you say coupons for pizza doesn't work? Or should you say, what's wrong with my pizza? So, the idea here is stop judging the outcome thinking that it's the medium that was the issue. Sometimes it's your own process that's the issue, and you need to question both. So there's some give and take on the service side and the marketing side. You have to assess both.
What about direct sales though?
So driving hard sales can happen. A lot of people will use promo codes with influencers to get those immediate sales, and they'll track those sales. But if you were to give away, let's use the pizza analogy. If you're giving away a free pizza and you slid a $500 coupon underneath or cash, like, here's the pizza. I really appreciate you sharing everything about your experience on social media tonight after you're done eating. You're basically paying them to like the pizza, and you can definitely get some immediate sales from that. So let's say the influencer takes your $500 and they put up a link online and they say, best pizza in town. And yeah, I mean, that can work. Obviously, they have reach and they have trust with their audience. If they do this over and over again, though, they're going to start losing that trust. Mm-hmm. And most of the time, a fan, I mean, I don't know about you, but I can see BS. I don't know. I feel like most people are smarter than this. There are still some goofballs out there that get faked into this and they buy the quick thing. But I see that as like convenience shopping. So like when you're in a convenience store and there's gum and there's candy right in front of you, you're not a loyal shopper of the gum and the candy in front of you. You're taking whatever's easy. And the type of customer you want isn't the one who's just going to grab what's easy. Mm-hmm. You want the customer that's going to stick. So the honest to God truth is you want honest customers. You want customers that truly like your product, because if they're just buying it out of convenience because they trusted somebody or it was just easier, then you're probably not going to see stickiness. Yeah. And stickiness is, how long is this customer going to stay with my brand? Mm-hmm. You want sticky customers. They're easier to get, I think. They're easier to keep, way easier to keep. Obviously, they're sticky, but they're so much cheaper. So like, you don't have to keep reselling your product. You sell one time, they try it once, they're lifers. You don't have to keep advertising and just keep spitting out the same message over and over so that you can get your convenience shoppers. Stop being a convenience product and start being something that people love.
Yeah. So talking about retaining sticky customers, I love that. I love sticky customers. That's great. So, when you're talking about, you want to make sure that you're not wasting money though. So how do you make sure that you're not wasting money on these influencers though?
Yeah. I mean, the easiest way to waste money is to think of influencers as influencers rather than customers first. So let me unpack that. Our agency, ApexDrop, built a network of the right influencers for our brands. And what this means is that they can get ROI for our customers over time. Mm-hmm. To me, being the right influencer means that they can have an effect on your bottom line. Mm-hmm. But the secret to the right influencer is that they actually have genuine interest in the product prior to becoming an advocate. So this whole system of paying influencers and flip-flopping the customer and the influencer advocacy and trying to make them advocates before the customers just doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. So a lot of brands will say, so how do you make sure they have genuine interest? Now, you can do this the old-fashioned way. You can go out and find influencers that look the part, or maybe they're actually using your product. That is, that finding customers that are using your product that happen to have influence is probably the number one way to engage with an influencer that's really great for your brand. But that is not a long-term strategy that works forever, because you have to wait for that to happen. Mm-hmm. So as a marketer, I like to make things accelerate, make things go faster. So most influencer marketing agencies or people that are doing influencer marketing will try and find the perfect influencer who looks like the perfect customer. So what they do, that causes two problems. One, that influencer critic already has their favorites. So you're not one of them. And the worst thing is that you think you are, because you're like, look, they like things like my brand, therefore they like my brand. You're making this assumption. They might not like your brand. I'm sorry to burst your bubble. You're not as special as you think. Now, you can pretend that it's not about money when you reach out to the influencer and be like, hey, I think you'll love us. I think you'll really like this product. You can pretend that they're going to like you without ever trying it. And you can pretend that all you care about is them trying it. They know for a fact that this is a transaction. The dollar signs are going off in their head immediately when they see the DM. Mm-hmm. Influencers are smart. They're people. They're not ads. They also want to make money from this. So I highly recommend sliding into the DMs with your offer. Free product, like they see this all day. You're just another one of those douchebag brands. So to stop being a douchebag brand, you want to create a authentic partnership with them through either another channel or a natural customer relationship. So I believe in using others to help you create these relationships. So imagine a networking event where you get a chance to meet some of your favorite customers or the people you hope could be your customer. That's much nicer, because now you have a networking event is essentially, it kisses a lot of frogs for you. You don't have to go out there and do it all. You have an event where people come that are the right fit.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think of my agency more of like an event curator, I create an event online where influencers join. They get to see your brand rather than being targeted and blasted and DM'd and spam. They get to come in and say, who do I like? So after this, this introduction or this initial becoming a customer, you don't have to pay them to become your customer, but sometimes money helps. So I get why people want to pay influencers and make money. I just see that it's just this process, and we've created we're basically making influencers into ads, and they're actually people first.
Yeah, yeah. And you've said that before in previous episodes, talking about putting people first and, creating that environment to have, those open and honest conversations about, influencer marketing and product. So when you're talking about giving away free product, though, how do you increase sales?
So yeah, that's the big question, besides just how do you not pay influencers? How do you make sure you're going to make money off this? Well, I hate to keep saying this, but you got to first have clear expectations. If you think that you're going to make a quick buck from giving away free products, then you're just like that pizza shop owner who thinks they should make money immediately after giving someone a free pizza. It's going to be a loss leader. It's always a loss leader. So start with the right expectation. Now, if you understand the loss leadership will increase your sales over time, now you can get your head straight and you can start focusing on the reality of the situation. So the average brand that uses my system, just for example, it takes about 9 months for them to see an investment revenue. So wow. I don't even like the word ROI for this kind of description. So I use the word investment revenue. Okay. So that's more of like if you know anything about buying property and leasing properties, when you buy a rental property, like your intention is to buy it and lease it and start making money, you have to think about when are you going to break even? Like what's that point where your mortgage is not as much, or it's lower than the amount you're bringing in? Right? When is the break even? When do I actually start to see revenue coming into my hands? That's the same way you need to think of marketing investments like influencer marketing. When am I going to break even is a better question than how much ROI or when am I going to start making money? So how much money can you make really depends on how patient you are. So if you keep investing in land and in properties, you'll make more money because eventually it starts to pay. You don't ever say, well, investing in real estate's stupid because I didn't make money in the first 3 months. It's like, no, maybe you're not smart. So like maybe you don't realize that you bought the wrong property and it's not going to become profitable. Or maybe you just aren't patient enough to do this type of investing. So, it's one or the other. Now, a lot of people assume influencer marketing doesn't work if it doesn't pay off immediately. That's just not true. And I can say this after, it's been 8 years since I started my influencer agency. I've never seen a brand not succeed using influencers in a very positive way. It might not be immediate sales, but it's always the credibility is being boosted. The awareness is being boosted. The content that's there to be reused is insanely powerful. So we've done some measurements. And for brands that have over 100,000 visitors on their website, the break-even point's typically around 6 months. It can take a little bit less than that, but about 6 months before you start to see a positive revenue coming from your investments. For a smaller brand, one maybe with under 10,000 visitors on their website each month, that can take closer to 9 months, like I said earlier. So keep in mind, it depends on how much traffic you have to work with. If you're a brand new company and you have no traffic coming to your website, you're not going to make money immediately from a loss leader because you don't have any traffic. So keep in mind, awareness campaigns are usually better invested in once you have established your brand to a point. I don't usually like to work with brands that are under 3 years old. And that's not because I don't like startups. I was a startup. I get it. And it's hard. But I know as a startup, when I was in startup mode, everything was life or death. You didn't have time to wait 9 months. So I would say product sampling as a pizza shop owner, initially to get the taste out is okay to a certain limit. But you do need to make sales to be able to survive, to pay your bills. So I totally get why you might go to paying for ads, getting people in the door, and making your sales that way faster. So you want to do a little bit of both. I see some brands who will take their marketing budget and they literally just start shifting it to different programs rather than creating a media mix. Influencers with sampling is part of a great media mix. It's not the only thing. So the second part, to answer your question, how do you increase sales when you're giving away free product? I would say provide amazing value. Don't skimp. So brands always ask me like, what's the like least thing I can send to the influencer so that I get a good post? And it's like, what are you doing, man? So it's that's so transactional. It's kind of ridiculous. I have to pull people into reality and be like, hey, they're people. So like the right question to ask is, what do I need to send influencers that guarantees that they're going to love the experience enough to share it with their audience? Mm-hmm. That varies between brands. The pizza shop owner is just make a damn good pizza and then get it into their hands. But that might not work for your brand. So you have to remember everything is different. Every product's a little different. So don't skimp means do something special. Okay, give them the pizza that's really awesome. Make sure it's wonderful, that first pizza they try. Mm-hmm. Make sure you put a little extra pepperoni on it that first time, maybe a little bit more than you would have normally done, just a little bit more. Don't slide a $500 bill under the pizza and go, tell me how much you like it. It just doesn't make sense. The third part of how to make money without giving money and doing free products. Let me restate that. So another part of how to increase sales, even when you're giving away free product, is to make it so easy for them to share that content that they do it every time. So make it so exciting, so good to share that they be crazy not to share it. Crazy. So the goal is to garner strong emotions. I hear this all the time. Oh, a good influencer is one that gets excited about your product. It's like, no. A good influencer is one that does something in front of their audience and the audience is engaged. That's not always excitement. Sometimes it's sadness. Mm-hmm. I mean, let's be honest. Not everybody's an excited superstar. Some people tell melancholy stories. Mm-hmm. Some people create really weird art, have very strange songs. Like, you want them to incorporate your product into their world, not into, they got to be bubbly and excited. And that's the only thing my brand ever wants. So good posts are not up to you. Good posts are what engages the audience. Mm-hmm. That's it. And unfortunately, you will not know if it's a good post until after it's posted. Mm-hmm. So there's another part of this is reviewing content. And I'll talk about that a little bit more.
Okay. Well, let's talk about optimizing content and maximizing the content that you're getting, because like you said, you've said before that looking authentic and being authentic are opposites. So how do you maximize the content that you're being given?
That's a huge thing to unpack. So to maximize your content, your first most important thing you do is get the rights to that content. Now, it should be, I shouldn't even have to say this, but license rights is how you reuse that content and repurpose that content. The post is the beginning. The content you get is the beginning, not the end. It's after the post happens that all the magic happens. So you've got to have a good license agreement, and then you got to make sure that you use that content appropriately. So the reusing and the repurposing, think of the little recycle symbol. You want to reuse, recycle. You want to use that content like it's in a recycling system. You're going to use the heck out of it. The second thing I would say is to make sure you earn it before you optimize it. Make sure you earn the content before you try and optimize the content. So what does that mean? Stop the unpaid product sampling efforts that you're doing in-house right now. Let me say it again. Stop doing unpaid product sampling in-house right now. It's dangerous. It's stupid, and it's not worth it. Now, you might go, well, wait a second, that's all I do. I send free products out to my influencers all the time, and it works. I want to say it one more time. It's stupid and dangerous. You cannot, as a marketer, overcome the bias and the transactional nature of reaching out to an influencer and saying, would you like to try my product? It is 100% transactional when you do it. So it is not a strategy that works for a long period of time, because you can get yourself in massive trouble if you get an influencer that gets canceled or represents your brand incorrectly, because you have created that relationship and partnership. And, we could probably talk a little bit about the most recent Anheuser-Busch issue. I'd love to talk about that. The third thing, you have to just stop doing this. The third way to maximize and optimize your content is you need to stop wasting your time reviewing every single piece of content before it's posted. Are you crazy? The whole thing you're doing is you're censoring what happens naturally. You're trying to stop it. It is a big time suck, and it's a complete waste of time. Now, I know why you're doing it. I know your job is to make sure the right content gets out into the open and not the wrong content. And you don't want to get in trouble and you don't want to get fired. I totally get it. I know that you're trying to be authentic as much as you possibly can, and that's fine. But the truth is, content review is terrible.
But what happens? What happens though if like the influencer gets canceled or like the company values don't align? Isn't that super dangerous not to review it?
Yeah, I mean, you would think that it'd be very dangerous, and that's true. It'd be very dangerous to let influencers do whatever they want when you've reached out and you've given them product and said, "Would you please post?" This is not the way influencer marketing was designed to be from the early days. This is just what it has become. It's only going to work if it's done without bias and it's genuine. And the only way you can do that is to stop making influencers into partners. Now, I want to explain that. Stop making influencers into partners out of the gate. It's okay to make partnerships down the road. Mm-hmm. The first thing you do is not, "Hey, will you marry me?" Like, you start dating, right? You start off with like a little bit of like, let's see what happens here. So, you don't want to tell your sales and marketing team to stop making ads. That's their job. But you need to they need to stop making ads with influencers right now. So stop making ads with influencers. Instead, hire a product testing platform. So this is a secret that not many people know. You can either work with celebrities or you can work with customers. And right now in this world, most people are trying to work with customers. We all know that that's UGC, baby. Everybody wants it. If you try and start from the bottom and you work with customers up, now you're thinking about it differently. You're going, how do I get customers talking about us? Mm. So a product testing platform is how to work with customers on a level that's unbiased. How do I get them to test my product and taste it and see if they like it without them feeling pressure or payment to tell us what they honestly think? So the reason that the paid thing isn't working is because if you have to pay for the partnership, now you are inextricably linked with that influencer. But if you pay a product testing agency to run a product test with a customer, you're not inextricably linked to that influencer. Mm-hmm. You have I didn't know that influencer. I never met them. I don't know them. And you can legitimately say that. So yeah, that's I highly recommend getting into product testing and get away from influencers.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. So talking about kind of, content, maximizing content. Talk to me about maximizing earned media content, because they're different.
Yeah. So this is the big problem is everybody wants to do this in-house or hire an agency that can do it for them. Stop typing the words influencer marketing into Google. Stop trying to find influencers on Google. You're doing it wrong. Look for product testing companies. Look for companies that are experts at product testing. How about this? Go one step further. How about you do a product testing with an influencer network? Instead of saying, I'm going to find influencers who will try my products, you say, I'd like to find product testers who happen to be influencers. Oh my Lord. It sounds like the same thing, doesn't it? Night and day difference.
Really?
So earned media is not the same as paid media.
Right.
Paid media and influencer marketing are absolutely married. When you say influencer marketing to your team, they automatically go to, oh, we're going to pay people to talk about us. Like, you can't even get away from it. But if you said, we're going to do some product testing, they're not going to go, oh, you mean paid media? No, they're just going to go, oh, you mean earned media? Like, oh yeah, if you have people test products, you might earn some media from that. So you earn some information. But did you know that most product testers on earth are also content creators? Because you and I are content creators now. Every human has become a content creator. Just a regular customer is probably going to talk online if they love something. But what if there was a network where everybody who did product testing had 10,000 followers, just so happened to have 10,000 followers on one of these social media platforms, and they knew that they weren't going to get paid to talk about products and that there was no expectation for them to talk about products. All they knew was that they can try products. That is the secret. So how do you avoid FTC fines? How do you avoid your legal team shutting down all your influencer marketing efforts? Stop hiring influencer agencies and start hiring product testing agencies who have influencers. The FTC cannot fine you if you don't have a relationship. If you're not making an ad and you don't have a relationship, you can't be fined. Let me say that again. You're not even making ads. You're doing product testing. The ads, the beautiful sponsored content is just content. It's just things that happen when content creators love products. The key is to stop trying to force the content. Stop communicating with the influencer. Hire a middleman. Hire someone like me. I'm a little biased. Product testing company here happens to be an influencer marketing agency at the same time.
Why do you think it's so important that people understand that they really need to use the product testing rather than, the other option?
It creates a customer before it creates an influencer. So, why do you want to make sure it's a product test? Because that ensures that they are a customer before they start becoming an advocate. Once they're an advocate, once you've confirmed that customer loves your product, you can do whatever you want. Go ahead and create an influencer relationship. Just do not call it that until that's what it is. Yeah. Influencer relationships are paid and they're weird and they're paid media. There's different stipulations, different laws, different relationships, but that initial introduction, not paid media.
Talking about paying influencers, how much should you pay an influencer?
How much do you pay influencers? Well, I mean, if you haven't heard, I am not a huge believer in paying them out of the gate. Most people that you ask, most influencer marketing people or marketers in general are going to go, well, first you got to figure out your budget. Then you got to do niche targeting, however you like it. And then you got to figure out how long you're going to collab. How long are they going to keep that post up? Who owns the rights? And then you got to establish those deliverables. And I don't know why I just became Southern, but that's
I love the accent.
I have to be somebody else for a minute when I'm talking like somebody else. That doesn't mean they're dumb. I'm just, okay. So you got to figure out your budget. You got to make sure, okay, yeah, you got to do all that stuff. But that's all hogwash. And here's why. I highly recommend that people stop paying influencers entirely. Stop paying them to like you. Stop paying them to make ads. Stop treating them like a CPM ad. Start treating them like the people that they are and start paying them like the people and the humans that they are. I want to be very clear. I say this over and over. They deserve to be paid for their work, not for their reach. So my strategy is always to earn the right to talk to their audience, earn the right to reach their audience before you assume you have the right. So once they're a customer, you can now say, well, how do you know how much you should pay an influencer? That question becomes, well, how do you know how much you should pay a customer who loves your product to talk more about your product? Like, wait, what did you just say? How much should I pay a customer who loves my products to talk about my products? That is the dumbest question you can ask. And that's literally the question that you asked. I'm not saying you're dumb, but I'm saying if you ask how much you should pay influencers, what you're really saying is, how do I fake this and make some money out of it? So the question becomes ridiculous and easy to understand when you put it in the correct term. So how much should I pay a customer to leave me a testimonial? Ooh, that's a little itchy, right? That's a weird spot. How much should I pay for a referral? You know how messy that gets. So like there is this weird gray area where you're playing around with like, well, you don't pay for a referral until you have an established relationship. You don't pay for a testimonial. That'd be the weirdest thing ever. Hey, can you say something nice about me? I'll slide you a $500 bill. What? So how do I give so much value to this influencer so that they can't help but share their experience? They'd be crazy not to share. Ask that question over and over. How do I make this so awesome that they have to share? That they have no choice. It's so awesome. So if you think the only way that you can provide value to an influencer is to say, here's the $500 bill slipped underneath, you're missing the entire point of authenticity. You already brought them value by giving them a product that helps their life get better. How do you make that more enticing and more exciting? How do you make the experience of them receiving your product more exciting? How do you make that better? That's the question you want to ask. Not how much do I need to pay them? It's how do I make this experience of handing my product to them so incredibly exciting? They have to share that experience. So who do you pay? You pay your employees, you pay your subcontractors. You don't pay your customers. And if your influencers are customers, you don't pay them. If you want to turn a great customer into a great employee or a great subcontractor, call them up, get a job description, or set up a job and literally work out a job. That's a job. Pay them to do work. They do work, you get a job. If you ask them to help you create a commercial because they're really good at videography, if you ask them to make you a song because they're so talented musically, if you ask them to sing a jingle because you need a jingle for your business, if you ask them to help you make your website better because they're incredibly talented at graphic design, if they're just insanely awesome on screen and they're great actors, have them help you with the commercial, acting in the commercial. We know it's acting. Have them do work that's real work. Asking them is like, okay, imagine asking a publisher to let you use their reach. Hey, or a company, a soulless entity that has 1 million followers. Hey, I'll pay you to let me use your platform. That's fine. Hey, you have a platform. I want to pay you money to get your 1 million reach or whatever it is, your CPMs. They're not humans. They have no soul. But asking a human to grab onto their audience and say, I'd like to talk to your audience, and I don't even care what happens in between us. That's the cringiest thing you could do. They're people. They're not products. They're not publishers. They're people. So earn the right to speak to their audience. Earn the right to impress their audience. The rest will become so natural, you won't even believe you used to do it the old cringy way. So I'll answer the question one more time. How much should you pay? Create that relationship, then pay for the art form, not the reach. Look at what they're talented at doing. Pay for that. Not the reach. They will be impressed and excited to show you that they're very talented because they are. If the influencer decides that they're not getting as much as they should, if they go, this isn't fair, I'm doing all this work and you're not providing enough to me, believe me, they're going to tell you. No one likes getting ripped off. They're going to say, hey, this doesn't feel fair. I'm going to need something else. So let them ask. If they truly love your products, they may ask you, hey, I'd like to share a promo code with my entire network of people because I want to give them 10% off because I know they'll love your product and I'd like to be that guy who hooks them up. That's a natural thing to ask when you love a product. I'd like to hook up my friends. Let them ask. The key is to let the influencer have the control and the power to ask, not you telling them. It's really awkward if you do the asking. You have too much power. You have too much leverage. You're making it awkward. Step away from the power and give it to them and let them tell you how we can profit together. Not the other way around.
Zak, $1 million question. How can you make sure that your influencer marketing campaigns make money?
The only way to guarantee that your campaigns are going to make money is to hire a firm that guarantees it. So currently, ApexDrop, my agency, a little biased here, but my agency does have a guarantee. We have 100% money back guarantee on the value of our influencers. This is an insane offer. So I can actually get you a free trial of what we do. That means you're going to work with dozens of influencers at no cost to you at all. You're not going to pay me. You're not going to pay the influencers. You're literally just going to have a free trial. But on top of that, I can guarantee that you'll have the best value influencers you've ever worked with, period, after the trial. And if you ever find influencers while you're working with me that are a better value, I will pay you out of pocket the difference in value between what I brought you and what you found yourself. That's how confident I am that this works.
It's one hell of a guarantee.